Hello, sports fans. Today and Thursday, it's just me. Our good friend Who Cares has decided to take a week off. He's hanging out in Vegas, doing Vegasy things. I'm not really sure exactly what he's doing down there, but it is Sin Bin. It is a Sin City, so he's up to no good, I'm sure. Either way, we wish him the very best, and he's having a good time. And we're going to do the best we can today and Thursday without him. I have to reconnect with him and send him another text just to make sure that I am picking him up on Thursday from the airport. So we're going to do our podcast, our regular scheduled podcast on Thursday. Finish that bad boy up, and then I'll leave here and go pick him up from the airport, which is about 30 minutes or so away from here. So I'll get there a little bit early, but it'll be okay. Who cares? He's kind of worth it. So, all right, let's get right to it, shall we? Where's my thingy? All right, you know the format. We're gonna click the refresh button. We're gonna talk about the first story that comes up, and then we're gonna talk about the next. Click 3 buttons, and we'll go that way. What I have to do is this should go fairly quickly because it's just me, right? We shouldn't have timers. We shouldn't have too much to go here because it's unfortunately I'm not having a back back and forth as it were what we think about, but should be what it is. All right, right back. Let's get it going. All right. Russia's Spetsnaz special forces have been absolutely crushing Ukraine. Well, this could be the second special force, right? Because I think the Wagner is the mercenaries for hire that they were originally doing most of the fighting in Ukraine, and then these guys are doing the cleanup. That's what I think's happening here. Let's find out for sure. This is one of those quick ones, right? So it's their daily digest. I'm not putting a lot of stock into this, but let's see what it says. Russia's secretive special forces units suffered tremendous casualties fighting in Ukraine, according to leaked documents by the Post. Okay. Destruction of the units was so bad that U.S. officials predicted in the leaked documents it could take Moscow up to a decade to rebuild its ranks. Wow. So-and-so covering Alex Horton covered the story. Oh, right. This is the American journalist that was captured in Ukraine and being held on like spying, more or less, right? This is not unusual. Wrote that covered the story for the Washington Post and wrote that the U.S. intelligence leaks detailing the struggle facing Ukraine were part of the documents shared by National Guard Airman Jack so-and-so on Discord. In the documents, U.S. officials wrote about how Russian commanders in Ukraine use units as frontline infantry rather than the secretive roles for which they were trained. Yeah, right. So that's like what are they called? Section 6? No. Right? Like the Marines. It's the best of the best of the best type thing, right? It's that group that would be equivalent. Typically, personnel are assigned to the sorts of stealth, high-risk missions for which they receive some of the Russia's military's most advanced training, but that's not how Russia uses special forces, which could be problematic. According to documents examined, when Russia invaded Ukraine, its commanders were hoping to make gains by using. Excuse me, sorry about that. By using their special forces teams more like regular infantry units rather than their traditional roles. That's a huge risk, right? Commanders eager to seize momentum and skeptical of their conventional fighters' prowess deviated from the norm, ordering the elite forces into direct combat. Should do better, but again, doesn't matter, right? You're still going to be shooting, and people are going to be shooting back at you. Usually, the secretive stealth mode, you have the advantage, all the rest of it, but now you're having forces fighting forces is less of that. While you should have a little bit of advantage of that, you're still going to suffer casualties higher than you'd expect. The rapid depletion of Russia's commando units, observers say, shifted the war's dynamic from the outset, severely limiting Moscow's ability to employ clandestine tactics in support of conventional combat operations. That's right, exactly. Official overall casualty rates are not listed in the document, but they did feature estimated figures of 3 brigades that were pegged at 90 to 95%. Holy shit. All but one of 5 Russian brigades that returned from combat operations in late summer 2022 suffered significant losses. Officials analyzing casualty numbers among Russia's specialty units used before and after shots from satellite imagery of special forces bases in Russia, imagery which appeared to show proof of the losses. Newly leaked document confirmed what some journalists have been reporting since the start of the war, namely that Russia's special forces have been suffering mightily in Ukraine. Well, that's, again, we don't need to go too much further than that, right? But that's absolutely sounds reasonable. When you use a unit that's not designed for that, what do you expect? What do you think is going to happen? Yeah, I don't know. Losses are losses, and it's not good, right? And who cares now? We've talked a little bit about what both of us think about this in general. So, all right, let's move on. Makar suspension likely as NHL tries to avoid Avs Kraken bloodbath. What's this one? Where's my thing here? How coupons backfired on Bed Bath & Beyond. So these guys are actually going under. The company closed 40 stores in 2019, and more closures are expected. I don't see this. Oh, yeah, okay. It's not saying that there. The one over by our house, by where Mrs. Frostpage and I live, it's about 7 or 8 minutes away from here. They're closing as well. Company stock has fallen about 90% in the past 5 years. Yeah, because of COVID, right? You can order all your shit online nowadays, right? So there's no reason to go outside, which is a bit problematic for society as a whole. But for decades, this is what the article says. For decades, blue and white paper coupons defined Bed Bath & Beyond's brand, popping up everywhere from the movie Old School to notorious mobster Whitey Bulger's junk drawer. But the iconic 20% off coupons, which became known as Big Blue, ultimately contributed to the Cornerstone's retail fall into bankruptcy. On Wednesday, Bed Bath & Beyond will stop honoring Big Blue coupons for good. Once highly popular marketing tool backfired as the retail business changed. They eroded their profit margins, hurt its brand image, and trained customers to only shop at stores if they had a coupon stashed away. This made it much harder for Bed Bath & Beyond to sell merchandise at full price, as customers began to perceive Bed Bath & Beyond's product as overpriced unless they had a coupon. There could be something to that. When I was a young man working through university, I don't think it was a Bed Bath & Beyond, but it was a store that was similar to that. And they had the same thing, the coupon on the back of their book for 25% off. And it says very specifically you can't use it for certain things, right? Now, again, thanks to management, poor training, I sold a shit ton of Dyson vacuum cleaners, right? Those things are about $600 a pop. With this thing, you're getting $100 off. People thought that was a hell of a deal, and it is. It says right on there not to do that. So yeah, you just use it. Just go to the front, use this, but you have to buy this 99-cent spoon as well. So people would buy this shit, right, and go up there, and because the cashiers weren't trained on it properly, they just took the coupon and away you go. The store then came around later on, after about 3 weeks, and said, "What is happening here? Are people stealing these things? We're selling with these." They told me, "No, you can't use this Big Blue coupon." Like, oh, okay. What do I care? I mean, I'm getting $12 an hour or whatever it was at the time, $10 an hour. I mean, I don't recall exactly what it is, but I mean, I didn't give a shit, right? I just want to sell stuff, and people got a deal, so it sucks, but whatever. It's a very effective short-term strategy in terms of generating sales, but coupons are not good for long-term loyalty. Exactly, right? I think that is correct. Professor of marketing, right? Bed Bath Beyond used coupons to draw shoppers into its maze-like stores. Once customers inside, the company hoped they would wander around in an impulse shop, buy linen, towels, pots, everything else that caught their eye. Yeah, redeeming coupons makes shoppers feel smart, like they outfoxed a brand, One study found customers who received coupons released feel-good oxytocin hormones and their heart rates decreased. Well, again, nowadays you can just go online, get a coupon, or not at all. Right? There's a local McDonald's just down the street here from our house. Again, as I like drinking their coffee, Mrs. Frostmage does not like drinking their coffee. I see a sign saying $1 coffee. I pull in. I said, well, "Can I have $1 coffee, please?" It says, "Yeah, it's $3 or whatever the price is, right? $2.50 or $2.10 or whatever." I'm like, "Isn't there a big ass sign outside that says it's for $1?" It says, "Yes, but you have to use the app," which is in. So if the sign is this big, there's like this little line that says that, right? I'm like, all right, that's like when that happened. I haven't been back to McDonald's since that, and that's been more than a year. Right? So McDonald's actually lost money by that. Rather than giving me the dollar coupon, the dollar coffee, now they get $0 out of me. Right? And this is all you can do with your dollars, with your spending power. Right? In regards to this coupon, if they have a good product, they want something, go buy it. Right? If you happen to have a coupon, well, that's great. But as it turns out, that's not good for this company, and they're going under. Lawyer claims smoking gun proof. Ed Sheeran copied song. I don't know what that is. Okay. This is the Jerusalem Post. So this is actually a somewhat reputable news source. I prefer Al Jazeera, but we'll add some more to this. Right? Russia fires on Ukrainian forces with the new T-14 Armata battle tanks. So new tank comes on. They haven't yet participated in direct assault operations, says RIA. Excuse me, Russia Intelligence Agency. I'm not really sure what RIA is, but yeah. So the tanks have been fitted with extra protection on their flanks, and crews have undergone combat coordination at training grounds in Ukraine. It has an unmanned turret with the crew remotely controlling the armaments from an isolated armored capsule located in the front of the hull. Huh. Have a maximum speed on the highway of 80 kilometers an hour. Wow, that's pretty good. In January, British military intelligence reported that Russian forces in Ukraine were reluctant to accept the first trench the tanks due to their poor condition. Oh, that cannot be good. Just going on, listing, production, 10s, 11, blah, dog delays. Well, it took them forever to roll out, apparently. 11 years in development, the program has been dogged with delays, reduction in planned fleet size, and reports of manufacturing problems. Wow. Well, that's again not helpful for Russia, right? If they can't get their war machine continuing to trudge along, no big deal, I guess, right? We might actually have to go through all of these just because of time. Edmonton Oilers recall goaltender Calvin Pickard. So I think Campbell is the regular goalie for Edmonton, right? He let in 3 goals the other night on, I don't know, 11 shots, I want to say. I don't know if that's right. And that was in the first 7 minutes or some shit like that. I think they stayed with him, Campbell, through the first period. And then on the second period, they pulled him out. The other guy let him, I don't even think he let in a goal. Maybe he let in 1 goal. I think it's 5-4 in overtime. Edmonton wins. So. Yeah, nothing wrong with recalling if you need help. So they're recalling because he's injured? Recalled him from American Hockey League affiliate Bakersfield on Tuesday. Pickard of Moncton, 31-year-old. Wow. Yeah, his career is just about done as well if he's still playing in the AHL at 31. To be clear, Daryl Sutter, the coach of the Calgary Flames, his son is the captain of the AHL team. He's played 1,000 games in the AHL. He's not making it. Right? He'll keep playing till his career's done, but he's not making the AHL at this point. That's Skinner. That's my bad. It's Skinner is the starting goalie for Edmonton, and Campbell is the backup. Edmonton netminder Stuart Skinner has started all 4 games against LA. In Game 4, Skinner was pulled after allowing 3 first-period goals. Jack Campbell entered in relief and made 27 saves on 28 shots. Yeah, so that's what I said. Campbell lets in 1 shot in the next 2 periods, right? Yeah, amounted to 5-4 comeback in overtime. Tied. Game 5 set for Tuesday night in Edmonton. So obviously Skinner hurt himself, I'm guessing. That's why they're calling up Calvin Pickard here, because you don't need to have 2 goaltenders, right? So Campbell will get the start, and Picard here will be the backup. Good for this young man. It's going to be a rise to the challenge if he gets called on. What's this one? This is what a TSA agent first notices about you. So it's Reader's Digest. They've been around for 100 years. What do they notice about you? The way that you dress. Right? If you are wearing a really nice suit and clothing, and you're wearing combat boots, right? Probably not it. If you're by yourself, if you're not, if you're all sweaty and shit, right? It'll be all sorts of stuff. Okay, yeah, there we go. Let's come back to the 16 pictures here. Navigating airport security check. First impressions are really important, especially for lots of people. Doing the job, they're on your side. Do more than just operate the scanner. They're trained to detect any item on a person or carry-on luggage that poses a threat. That's questionable at best, because you're allowed to take a pen on there, and a pen can injure someone quite harsh, right? So for writing whatnot, I don't know. Can't bring on a corkscrew. I mean, I'm not sure why. Pen does the same thing. Can't bring on a little pocket knife that big, again, for the same reason. I get it, I understand, but be prepared. What's this one? What do they check at the airport security? There's a list. What does it do? What does it check for when they scan your ID? They want to verify your identity before you enter the security checkpoint. Yeah, that's right. That's why it's so important to have an up-to-date license or passport. Review your name, photo, address, date of birth, then cross-check to see the information on your travel documents matches the same. Fake or fraud. You need to use a state that's under the law. You need to use a state issued ID that is Real ID compliant. Again, I'm assuming this is American, right? American peoples, not Canadians. I don't know if, let's open that. Do we do that? Well, that's a Kentucky. I'm just looking at the ad. I clicked on that thing. That ID looks like our driver's license as well. So maybe ours is tacitly does that. Again, I'm not really sure what exactly a Real ID is or compliant, but you can get one through your State Department motor. Otherwise, you can present a U.S. passport, U.S. passport card, or a U.S. military card. Yeah, so that's what I said. It's Americans, not Canadians. But I do believe that the Canadian driver's license and certainly passports would fall into this as well, are compliant. So again, you don't have to worry about it, right? Sometimes most instant items can spark a bag search. That's true. From lip balms to batteries to spreadable liquids like peanut butter. Mrs. Frostmage and I, we have had our stuff pulled out, and they looked over because we had our dog with us. And so we took like cans of like I don't know, soft dog food. Comes in a metal wrapper on the top with a plastic container, and you just pull the top off, right, and feed it to the dog. So they're square, about this big. It's like that size of your phone, right? Let's see how big my phone is. Right? It's about that size, and it's everything you can fit in the bag. Right? They give you one bag, and it's okay. Well, so we fit 10 of these things, and we couldn't fit the other 2. And thus we had to chunk the other 2. This is what it is, right? So this would be kind of the soft spreadable that they're talking about, like peanut butter. Fair 3 bagged for what it is if it's a real danger. Rotating, yeah, no big deal. Acting aggressive. The last thing you want to do is draw attention, sets up a flag. I had to go through there. My wallet, I just use this thing. Right? This is a clip from the store from work. Right? I clip my money in there and it holds my credit card and my license and my bank card, and that's it. Right? And I fold it back down like that and put it in my pocket. So I'm going through the checkout. I mean, I just took this thing off, right? And I held onto my money and put it in the bag and said, "No, you have to put your money down." I said, "There's zero chance I'm putting my money into that container. It's out of my eyesight. I can't see it. You can see that it's money in my hand if you want to observe it and look at it, but I'm not putting my money in that thing and letting it go through." He said, "Okay." And I held onto it, went into the scanner, held my hands up. It went around me, it did its thing, and off we went. That's it. Uh, Explains primarily look for behaviors that are inconsistent with typical passenger commuters. Stay calm, cool, collected, even when you're frustrated by issues. Yeah, yeah. And I've never had an issue with it after that. Right? They just like, okay, go ahead. Being overly talkative. You don't need to be chatty with these guys. I mean, I don't give a shit who they are and what they do and what they had for dinner and what their plans are. Right? Same thing. They don't care what you are. They got 1,000 of you to get through. Feeling chatty, want to break the ice. Resist the urge to charm them with all the airplane facts. Making small talk isn't always a good idea. Many criminals try to avert the attention of security guards using this approach. Again, thanks. Have a great day, and move on. Be courteous and polite. Smile. Say thank you. After all, having the attitude can make all the difference. Which is what I just said. Yeah, where are you going? We're heading out to wherever we're heading to. Visit family, friends. We'll be out there for 3 days. We're coming back and that. All right, there you go. Go on your way. Thank you. Have a great night. And that's it. Let's move on. They don't give a shit and you don't know who it is. Acting nervous. You may be nervous because you have a fear of flying or being nervous for another not so innocent reason. Train to be on the lookout for nervous passengers. Often appear shaky, pale, or wide-eyed. Anything makes you agitated could attract. Yeah. Avoiding eye contact. Yeah, that's true. When you're talking to people, you should make eye contact with people, right? Right? That's respect. Unless they ask you a question, you kind of think about it, or you're doing this, whatever one it is, you're thinking about the answer. Then it's okay. But you should make eye contact with people, just as you would normally. Right? Wearing baggy clothing. I don't know about that. Right? It's a plane. You want to be comfortable. I don't think this is an issue, but you know, some women have been turned away from the airport because they show up in really short shorts and like a sports bra, which is the opposite of this. They've been turned away because they have to put clothes on, not because they have too much baggy clothing to be wearing. But again, that is kind of moot because of the way the scanners work now. You go into the thing and it scans around you, right? So the baggy clothing doesn't really work anymore. I think this is a fairly old article because of that. Wearing unseasonable outfits, that's correct. Mrs. Frostmage and I, we went out to friends, or we went out last night for beverages at the local pub, as she is ought to do on a Monday night for steak sandwiches. There was 4 of us that went. Right? This neighbor lady's got a friend over, so the 4 of us went out. She's wearing what looked to me like a parka and a scarf, and I'm wearing shorts and a hoodie, and a t-shirt, like a light hoodie, right? I normally wear. What are you doing? It's like 15 or 16 degrees outside yesterday. I'm like, that's crazy. And it turns out it's just a spring jacket. I'm like, yeah, but I'm wearing shorts. This is kind of the same thing. Is a parka you're wearing a 90-degree heat concealing weapon? Yeah, that's sort of what's going on there, right? Drinking before your flight? Yeah. Usually you don't drink before you get onto the plane. Drink once you're through the security and whatever else, right? I have had a beer at 7 o'clock in the morning. But I've also had a burger, like a Big Mac burger, or not a Big Mac, a Burger King burger, and had a beer with it at 7 o'clock in the morning because I wanted to have one. And once you're in the airport, like through the airport security, where it's all open, yeah, you can do that. At Calgary Airport, I did that. Yeah. That's what happens when you get up at 3. I don't even think I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I think I had to work that night until 2 a.m. Came home, had a shower, got ready, made sure Mrs. Frostmage was up. We left at 3:30 or 4 o'clock to get to the airport at 6. For a flight at 6. Got in. Maybe it was 3 to 5. Yeah. So I just got home. Yeah, it is. Globetrotter carrying lots of cash. Globetrotters who carry a lot of cash, including a wad of foreign currencies and coins, may be surprised to know they can get flagged by a TSA agent. It's happened many times to Sahara Rose Devore, a wellness travel coach and consultant who's visited more than 60 countries. I've been asked at many airport security checkpoints to explain why I have multiple currencies. Multiple. That's the different. Carrying lots of cash and having multiple currencies is two different things, right? Canadians travel to Las Vegas. Who cares? Who's not here with today is in Vegas. I have no doubt that he has, I don't know, $5,000 or $6,000 cash on him. It may be more, depending on what he's planning on doing down there, right? You're allowed to carry large amounts of cash with you. Now, most people don't. You can take a traveler's check or whatever else, but if you're playing poker, which is what Frost, Who Cares and I do, we pay in cash. We buy our buy-ins with cash and flop down $1,000 or whatever it is, and we do that multiple times. So you're allowed to do that, right? Where are you going, and why do you have so much cash? I'm going to Vegas for 4 days, and I'm playing in a $10,000 tournament. So you need to have probably $20,000 in cash if you're playing in a $10,000 tournament. Right? So this one's different because they're worried about sex trafficking, and this is something they often want to ask you about. Again, that's fine, but it's having multiple currencies at one time, right? Large amounts of cash to go. So I have traveled down to New Zealand. Where did we go? We went to my good friend Drew Hayes. We traveled. He's American. I'm Canadian. I flew into LA. He picked me up. We had an 8 or 9 hour layover. So I had, I don't know, like $100 American cash on me, which is not a lot. And I probably had a couple hundred American actually, because we were there for 8 hours. I also had Samoan money because that was where our destination was. We then flew to Auckland after that for 3 days, and then we came home. So I actually had 4 different currencies on me: Canadian, American, Samoan, and Australian money on one trip. Now I didn't have thousands and thousands of dollars because that wasn't needed, but a couple $100 in each one, walking around cash. And they did ask me, "Where are you doing? Where are you going?" So this is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. This is how long I'm going to be. Here's my plane tickets to show that I'm going to each one of these 3 places. So I got to have a little bit of walking around cash. Didn't bad night, whatever. Traveling with coffee. You may think a bag of coffee beans is great travel, but drug smugglers use it to. Yeah, that's correct. This is usually why you check that in your bag, and then they look. Right? They'll scan it and do all the other stuff. That's fine. It's less if it's unless you buy it from the duty-free shop, which is different, right? TSA doesn't prohibit coffee beans or ground beef from either carry-on or check bags, but you may want to buy it in the duty-free shop to avoid any hiccups. That's exactly right, for exactly that reason. And if you're carrying multiples as opposed to one, right? If you just have one bag, yeah, no problem. Open it up, take a look. Traveling with electronics to electronic equipment. This is now, again, people carry this every single day, right? We all have a phone now. We all have laptops. We all, right? This is a little bit different. I have had to do this as well. I took my laptop on a business trip to Iran, flew into London, and then from London to Iran, and I was actually finishing off my university degree, so I was writing a paper, and so I wrote it on the plane. The TSA requires that all electronics bigger than a cell phone, such as laptops, tablets, be placed in bins and x-rayed separately. That's correct, and they did that. I pulled them off again because I was traveling where it was. They open it up, turn it on. I did, no problem. They saw it. Okay, good enough. And that was it. Most travelers are aware of that, but many don't know other items that can trigger search. I always get flagged for my curling iron. I'm just reading it. It's not that I have a curling iron. That's what it says. It's best to review their items. That's true. Batteries for the same reason. Wearing intricate hairdos. I don't have that problem. I usually have to take my ball cap off and put it into the bin, right, so they can see it. It's, again, as a male, Mrs. Frostmace just wears her hair straight. She doesn't usually use a curling iron, but It's best to wear your hair down. However convenient off-the-face styles may be, they're not ideal for a security check. Maybe because you can hide stuff in there. According to the CSA, there's a reason why intricate styles like braids, updos, and hair pieces can get a second look. Bobby pins, clips, wigs, extensions, and other hair accessories can set off the metal detector, which can lead to. There you go. I didn't know that. Packing batteries and battery chargers. Yeah, this is all the same thing as the other one, right? Just put all that stuff into one bin so they can see that it's a charger. It's for your headphones, right? And these things are not unusual to travel with, right? Just put them in the same thing, but batteries are extremely difficult. And I think that's it, right? Carrying liquids, okay, that's fine. That's no big deal. We all know that. Talking about bad things. Yeah, don't even kid about it, right? Don't even crack a joke about shit like that because that's going to get you in trouble. And you know the word I'm talking about. Man, I gotta go to the bathroom and go drop a bomb. That gets you in trouble. Carson Jeremiah, liberal trolls come for Anita Pollier. I'm assuming that's the wife of this guy here. He is the current leader for the Conservative Party of Canada. This is at a federal level. I'm assuming this is his wife. This is an opinion piece. If they're coming for that person, that's probably not a good thing from their side. Okay. So this is a LIV golfer has brutal message for PGA Tour. This is the comeback. I don't know right here. I don't know how reputable this is, but this is Dustin Johnson. This is Dustin Johnson. He's a pro golfer. I think he's one of the ones that went over to the Saudi Arabian golf league, right? After a rather successful weekend around the Grange in Adelaide, Australia, LIV golfer Dustin was asked a bit of a peculiar question. He experienced a great deal of land in Australia, sold it for 3 days, great debut. He just won their first team title of the season. So when Johnson was asked about how PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan would be feeling, he didn't exactly hold back. We don't give a damn how he feels. We know how he feels about us, so it's mutual. Obviously, there's a lot of animosity between the two groups for splitting up, right? As one would expect, those comments didn't go particularly well in the golf world. In any event, to prevent any further issues with tensions between the two groups, comments have now been deleted from LIV Golf's official transcripts from the post-interview. That doesn't change the fact that it was said, right? I mean, so what if you delete it? If someone's recording that shit and everything is recorded, so what? While Johnson may have taken a shot at the PGA Tour and its commissioner, this past weekend is exactly what he's hoping for. I mean, I think the high road is always the better place to be in things like this, right? I don't know. I think that's the answer. How do you think PGA commissioner is feeling? Don't know. And that's, I don't know. I play in this league. He plays in that league. I mean, I don't know. Right? I think that's the high road. You don't need to throw the other guy under the bus. You don't need to cast disparaging comments. What that does do is speak about your character, not theirs. Right? That's why I'm not really sure. Edmonton Oilers to start Skinner in net for Game 5 against the LA Kings. So we just talked about this a little while ago. So obviously Campbell was the one that got hurt. Right? This is because if they're recalling the other guy from Bakersfield from the AHL, Skinner is their starter. Right? Obviously, this was from an hour ago, and that's not unusual to give the lineups to each other's teams. Oh, excuse me. Oh, cute. Skinner had been pulled early in the. It was just a recap, right? A 24-year-old gave up 3 goals on 11 shots, just like I said, right? Allowing the Kings to take an early 3-0 lead. They fight back and ultimately win that. Jack Campbell stopped 27 of 28 shots. So they had 39 shots. The average is about 33, right? So that 39 is close to it. Skinner was named to his first All-Star team earlier this season. He started 48 of 50 games he played in. That's pretty good. Postseason, he's a 1-2 record with a whatever. It's unusual. Just because he had an off night. Playoffs are a marathon, not a sprint, right? Cannot win in one game. So it's 2-2 in that series. Best of three right now. This could be problematic. Excuse me. So Reuters is also, where is it? Reuters right here is a reputable news source. So I would put some more stock in this article than not. First Republic Bank deposits tumble more than 100 billion as it explores options. This could be like continued run on banks that other banks have had, right? Is it the Swiss bank? They also went under this past while, like last month, 6 weeks ago. I think there was an American bank that went under for exactly the same reason. First Republic Bank's shares sank more than 20% after the closing bell on Monday. It said, deposits plunged by more than 100 billion in the first quarter, and is exploring options such as restructuring its balance sheets. The deposit slump overshadowed profits that beat expectations, shoring up deposits through U.S. banking giant last month after two regional lenders collapsed. So that's just what I was talking about, right? A bit of a run-on. San Fran-based First Republic plans to shrink its balance sheet, slash expenses by cutting executive compensation, paring back office space, laying off nearly 20% to 25% of employees in the second quarter. Well, wages are the most expensive part of doing a business, right? So it's not unusual to slash and burn here to save costs, and people are the cheapest way to do that. Continuing on with COVID, if you could prove businesses stayed afloat by having their workforces stay at home. So there's no reason to call them back. Or if you do call them back, and I think they should come back to work. Working from home 4 days a week and coming in the office 1 day a week works just fine, right? What day do you have them come into the office? Probably Friday. Not gonna lie. Contrary to think that Wednesday is the right day, but Friday I think would work. Doesn't really matter, right? Whether it's Friday or Monday, you get all your work done in the 4 days. If you missed it, you can get your shit done on the weekend, and then you have your meeting on Monday when you come into the office, and then you go back home, right? So it doesn't really matter. He aims to increase insured deposits, cut borrowing from reserve as it should, forego question answer session, calls of pursuing strategic options to help expedite progress on strengthening the bank without providing details. Well, that's not open transparency. You don't need to say exactly what it is you're doing, at least out in public, because you don't need to share your business strategy, but you do need to persuade investors that you are doing stuff. Right? Deposits fell to 104 billion, quarter 30 million. Tough road ahead. Well, there you go. What else are you going to do? This is probably not going to go over well. Morgan, so this is where is this? This is ET Canada, right? Entertainment Tonight Canada. This is a entertainment piece. Morgan Wallen is a country music star, right? Morgan Wallen angers fans after canceling concert just minutes before the start time. 60,000 country fans were left disappointed. That's a big ass concert. B, you knew you were sick in the morning when you woke up. You hoped you would make it through the day. I don't know. Sunday night, Morgan Wallen was set to take the stage at some stadium in Oxford, Mississippi, but his concert was canceled. Thousands of fans waiting for her to get on stage. Opening act. Oh, the opening acts had already performed. That is problematic for sure. He's lost his voice and is unable to perform tonight. Therefore, the show has been canceled. So this is on someone's Twitter. Completely disappointed Morgan. Been sitting in the stadium for 3 hours, and he just announced the show is canceled. Complete bullshit. I absolutely agree with that. You knew that you lost your voice. You didn't lose your voice an hour ago, right? So there is a screen here that they're sharing. Lost his voice, is unable to perform tonight. Therefore, tonight's show has been canceled. Please make your way safely to the stadium exits. Refunds for tonight's show will be available at point of purchase. Well, again, the fact that they allowed the first band, the opening band, to go, I think people should get a full refund out of that. Right? Everyone's there for Morgan Wallen. They're not there for the opening act. You should get your money back. Fans complained about the long wait before the last minute announcement, with many direct calling Wallen out for not canceling earlier. Well, isn't that exactly what I just said? My son and his girlfriend went to 6 minutes before the concert was supposed to start. They put this on the screen. Now it's getting out that he got puss drunk and passed out backstage. What? I haven't heard that. One fan also posted a TikTok, in which a security guard at the venue claimed that Wallen had not lost his voice, was actually too drunk, and that's possible. Right? That is possible. I'm not going to click on this TikTok to watch this to find out, but poke fun at. I can excuse racism, but if I draw the line at canceling a concert, you can excuse racism? Oh, wow. Well, Morgan Wallen, if you got all drunked up, that's problematic for you, buddy. Gotta deal with that shit. That's not good. Okay, so there's another one here. What is this? This is right here. Star Insider. I don't know what this is. I'd never heard of this before. This is one of those roaming 30 photos, and it tells you what it is. What is sapiosexuality, and why is it so controversial? You are attracted to smart people. I think that's what it is, and you don't have sex with them until you have the mutual attraction. I think that's what it is. We're going to find out here. I don't know. If you appreciate if you appreciate intelligence in a partner, which is what I just said, right? You're like the majority of the people on this planet. You aren't a sapiosexual yet. Sapiosexuals are described as people who are physically, emotionally, romantically, and relationally attracted by intelligence. They find intelligence to be the most important and erotic trait, and value it more than potential partners' physical look, status, emotional connection, and even personality. But is it really a sexual orientation? And why does it garner so much criticism online? Click through. Well, again, I'm just reading this, right? So I knew what it was. Obviously, it's a relatively new term, not too relatively, because I'm an old guy and I knew what it was. New addition to the sexuality lexicon, the whispers online. First recorded use was in 2004. Yeah, so that's just about 20 years ago, so not too new. What it is, the following are common traits typically associated with. Relationships start slow, of course, right? Because it takes a while to. You can say the right things, but you have to get through the bullshit first. Right? Relationships tend to start out as friendships, giving them time to really understand the person. No immediate attraction based on looks. They might seem less sexual. So many sapiosexuals tend to prefer discussing things like books, movies, and first dates rather than trying to get into bed as fast as possible. Intellectual discussions can sometimes be more erotically rewarding than physical touch. Frankly, when I was younger, dating I think should be you should talk about the three things you're not supposed to talk about at a party, right? You should talk about sex, politics, and religion, and fairly quickly. I do believe that you should date 3 people at a time, and during those 3 dates that you're going on, you'll know fairly quickly when you talk about those 3 things whether you want to spend more time with it, and then through dating, you will actually weed out everyone else and spend more time with the person that you are focused with. You shouldn't just date one person and run its course and then move on. I think you should date multiple people, but you talk about lots of different things. You don't need to know whether they support Trump or Biden. You need to know if they're conservative or liberal. First off, you need to ask yourself these questions, because it's not that you can't be with someone that absolutely disagrees with your viewpoint. Maria Shriver, maybe that's a bad example. Maria Shriver and Arnold Schwarzenegger were together for 30 plus years or so, right? One's liberal, one's conservative. So, I mean, it's possible for sure. But you want to know where they stand on capital punishment, abortion, voting rights of prisoners. I don't know what else is on there, right? What their view is of religion, of God. Right? If you're an atheist and they're a diehard faithful, could be problematic. How are you going to raise your kids if you decide to have kids? If you have kids, the other parent just sits back and doesn't do anything, doesn't say anything. You're the parent, and right. I mean, you have to have all those sort of tough questions, not just what do you think about this movie? What do you think about this book? Right. So I don't know. Most sapiosexuals reportedly can't feel comfortable enough to connect with someone sexually unless they've had an intellectual discussion. Yes, in other words, talking about politics could very well count as foreplay. Huh. Huh. I don't consider myself as a sapiosexual, just to be clear, but it's like, wow, that's wow. Intellectual connection may be considered far more effective foreplay than even physical touch. They avoid small talk. Yeah. Maybe I am a sapiosexual. I don't know. I don't want to talk about the weather. I don't want to talk about, like, I talk about the weather with Who Cares, to see if we're going to go drink beers on the patio or we're going to drink beers at his place. That's it, right? That's as far as the weather conversation goes. I have a weather conversation with Mrs. Frostmage to decide whether we're going for a walk or whether we're going for a run. That's it. Unchallenging, frivolous chatter does not bode well for sapiosexuals. And if the conversation starts to go that way, they'll often ask harder questions to get people to think about things one might usually not. They supposedly prefer to unearth insights rather than merely pass the time. That's exactly right. I don't care about the latest movie that's out. Right? I don't care what this is. Right? I want to, unless we're talking deeper issues. One of which, The Matrix. Those movies have been out for 20 years, but the underlying issue is about Rene Descartes. Cogito ergo sum. Even Rene Descartes said that was incorrect and just went sum. But everyone knows what I think, therefore I am. But Rene Descartes said, I am. He said that's the next logical step. So people haven't quite caught that. But that's what that movie's about. Right? He called it a BIV, brain in a vat. Right? Which is exactly what that is. What if you're just, how do you know that you're not just being controlled by a big giant alien, that you're just not a battery, that you're not just being plugged a massive computer simulation, right? There it is. They want to be challenged. Sapiens want to be challenged. Don't care so much about what you wear or how much money you earn. Yeah. They're also drawn to emotional intelligence. I think they call it EQ. I think that's what this stands for. While intelligence is focused, it involves emotional intelligence. That means they can be drawn to people who show compassion, empathy, and humility. Unless you're a sociopath, and then you don't care about those things. Not to be confused with demisexuality. An orientation characterized by only experiencing sexual attraction to someone after making an emotional connection with them. Intellectual spark is more for sapiosexuals. Intellectual spark is more important than emotional connection. And in fact, the connection must be intellectual before they begin to experience sexual attraction. Okay. You're great at communication? Well, you have to. Right? You have to know why you think the way you think. And if you don't do that, if you don't do the internal discussions, have those internal discussions first, you certainly cannot have those external discussions. Text or email conversations are especially great with sapios who supposedly tend to be very articulate. Witty banter is considered a turn on, and their feelings are typically always made clear. They can lose romantic interest after a disagreement. Why? Disagreements occur. Disagreements happen, right? But just because you disagree with someone should be a reason enough to end. Right? It's how you deal with disagreements. That's the communication piece that we just saw a moment ago. Well, some couples can agree to disagree. Many sapios will lose romantic interest in someone if they don't find their interlocutor's political, philosophical, or spiritual arguments valid. So that's the same sort of thing, right? You have to have a valid argument. And that's a rough term as well, because you can have a valid argument and still have a wrong conclusion. All men are mammals. All dogs are mammals. Ergo, all men are dogs. Right? That is a valid argument. Each one of those, the premise is true in both of those statements. You just reached a false conclusion, but that is a valid argument all the way through. They're attentive to thought processes. Yeah. Mrs. Frostmage and I have had several different. Maybe I am a sapiosexual. I never heard it called that, but I've actually said this to Mrs. Frostmage. I'm much more interested in how you think than what you think, because if she doesn't know why she thinks what she thinks, there's a problem. You're going to run into an issue if you do that. Right? So you got to kind of have to know why you think what you think. CPUs tend to analyze not only the information being shared, but the process of getting to that information. And the more sophisticated, the better. Yeah, they prefer deep, long-lasting friendships. We're said to be great sapiosexuals are said to be great friends, as they value growing and learning with people over a fleeting good time. Is it a real sexual orientation? Despite sapios' increasing appearance in discussions around sexual identity, there are many who still not view sapiosexuality as a real orientation. Yeah, that's why I say I don't think I'm that, but I think all those things are right. One of the main problems arises when people claim that sapiosexuality should be included under the LGBT umbrella. Many queer people argue that it can't be included because it's not related to gender preferences. It's more of a supplemental sexual identity. In other words, sapiosexual can also identify as gay, straight, bisexual, pansexual, or gray sexual. Again, the how and not the who. It's how the person develops their attraction to someone. It is how, not the who, of their attraction experience. What's the name? All right, anyway, that's good enough. I mean, it is what it is, right? Is it controversial? I don't hear too much controversy in there. Let's come to this one and finish it off here. Makar suspension likely as NHL tries to avoid bloodbath. He's having a hearing today for his hit on Seattle Kraken forward Jared McCann during Sunday's Game 4. The belief is a suspension coming, and part of why the NHL might be looking to send a message with its pending rule. Avoid nothing short of a war. Despite the fact the penalty was deemed a major and then reduced to a minor, most believe this hearing will result in a suspension. Because McCann had already been ruled out of Game 5 for Seattle, the least the NHL Department of Player Safety can do is take Makar out of Game 5 as well. I didn't see the hit, so I don't know. I don't know how bad this is, but obviously if if the player safety is having a review, this is going to be serious. And I'll tell you what, if you're having a player safety, you probably should be suspended. Right? If you get to that point, right, you should probably be suspended. It's not usually you hit him real hard and he barely got up, but if all you're getting is if the refs thinks it's a major and then they reduce it to a minor, that's probably it. But if that's a good hit and the guy got dazed, minor at best, there's probably not too much there, right? But the fact that it was a major and then reduced to a minor is something else. Suspensions aren't necessarily worked out to see both the perpetrator and injury miss the same amount of time, but when the league can potentially even things out, many believe this goes in the equation. If he's not suspended for at least one game, then there's a lot of talk that Seattle would specifically target the stars of the Avalanche as a way of getting back at the team. Well, again, now tit for tat, right? You're going to lose because the first hit, you get rid of that guy. And then the retaliation is this, you get rid of that guy. Keep going. You guys got 25 players. Now you have 24. Got rid of that guy, right? So you just keep going. All right. Well, maybe he needs to be suspended. I don't know. I don't know what that one is. Look at that one. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. We're going to cut it a little bit short today. Again, because I'm the only one here, and I went through all of those. So you can see each one of these things down here, right? I went through all of those things at the bottom and talked about each one of them because there's no back and forth, right? What else we got? Nothing else on there. So, all right, you guys have a great afternoon. Thanks for hanging. I'm going to try and upload this right now and get it uploaded by 1:30. It takes about 20 minutes or so to download and upload to YouTube. So I'm going to do that right away. And then should probably play some more poker today, but I might take today off. Even though I normally play poker on Tuesdays, I may play some WoW today. There's only a couple days left for Raid, so we'll see how it goes. I will be back here streaming this talk show on Thursday by myself. It will be the same format. Cheers, guys. Have a great afternoon.